Welcome to the Sushi Forum episode 7. This is where we sort of discuss and debate this week's, past week's proposals. We talk about changes to the protocol and just general developments in the SushiSwap ecosystem. I've got Overly Ambitious with me, as always, and today we've got a very special guest, Zero X Mackie himself, and we also have LevX, one of the, hopefully I'm not jinxing it, new core team members for SushiSwap. Today we're going to be talking about the recently proposed SIMP1 or SIMP proposal put forward by 0x Mackie. Mackie, do you want to just like give sort of the general intention behind the proposal?
Yeah, sure. So let's keep it simple. The way I see it is we have like this individual that is attacking, I guess, the sushi bar, and we need to improve it in various ways so we can have like auto harvesting by keeper spot. We can add like more value, I think, to this part of the ecosystem. The way I see it is the sushi bar in its first iteration was very gas efficient, was very simple, was I would say not sustainable. Like it was what contributed in part of like the Ponzinomics of sushi. And I think we're past this. I think we should be heading towards like a way where people like grantees, people farming sushi, can actually be earning sustainable passive income with it directly from the protocol, especially knowing the fact that sushi is a very volatile asset. We've seen what happened, right? It went from 70 cents to $10 and more, and then dropped back to 50 cents. So it makes sense to me that we should be thinking about a way of making sure that people can think of sushi as not just an asset that you farm and dump, or that you will put in a sushi bar and then play a play a musical chair game where you think that it's going to be higher, and then you cash out and then you dump. I think we should enable people to basically like showcase that they are with us for the long term, they believe in the project. And the way it goes, in my opinion, is we favor a solution where we can have either like a vesting, a locking solution. These are details, in my opinion. Like we should think about it in a way where you put the sushi in there for a long, short term, medium term, whatever it is. It doesn't need to be locked, right? Could like we can decide on
Mm-hmm.
on how it works, but the outcome is you get Dai, and we stay to this level for sushi. We're not, like trying to be wire. We're not trying to be harvest finance or whatever. Like this, like these protocols are like farming and doing all sort of allocation with their tokens. I think we should leave this to third parties. If people want to have evolved for harvesting sushi, which would basically do the same as right now, right? So we can have like the version 1 of the sushi bar on the sushi bar v2. So nothing changed for you, right? It's still gas efficient. There's still like a keeper harvesting the sushi for you, and like doing all of the gas action. On the tax side, you're not, there's no worries too, because it's like in another contract and you're not like involved with like the transaction, etc. Or with the DAI you can accumulate WBTC if that's what you want. If you want to maybe work your way to a validator for Ethereum, you can accumulate Ethereum, etc. Like that's kind of, I guess, the focus. And I think I'm gonna put the proposal forward in a way where the actual technical spec or details are not gonna be like written black and white. It's going to be all gray zone. Perhaps, like we can do another vote after to decide whether or not we want to have vesting or locking or another solution. Because the truth is, we need to know whether or not we want to go V2 with like these requirements or not move at all. And that's what I think we need to decide as soon as possible. Because in the meantime, I've been spending like upwards of like 100 USD per day serving the bar to make sure that like nobody can get dumped on by JoCap, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's not sustainable, and we need to make sure that bad actors are not incentivized to do that. So yeah, that's kind of like I guess the meaning, or the essence of this proposal. And there you go. That's
Awesome.
coming from
Okay.
the coming from the writer of the. And like that, what's interesting is project we are also investing in sushi, like for example Yam will, instead of just dumping the sushi, will probably stake it and be a participant in our, I guess, governance, instead of being parasitic or etc etc.
So so I have a question. You, is there a smart contract like efficiency to the die? Is it like I'm confused as to what the proposed switch will be. Is it just so that like we'll be able to choose the output of the staked sushi in the sushi bar from additional sushi to die or WBTC, or are
Okay,
you?
so very simply put, is you're gonna be receiving, as a base layer, you're gonna be receiving DAI. Why are we choosing DAI? I think that to DAI as a stablecoin is the one of the project that resonate the most with our ethos. I mean, if it was not DAI, I think the fully or decentralized stablecoin is SUSD from Synthetics, which I'm not against. It's just like we have like DAI, which has 1 billion supply now. I think it's like widely accepted as like the DeFi stablecoin, and there's no like gas efficiency right there, like in particular. But, and that's a very important feature here, is that when you what you would receive when you put the sushi in there, you receive the X sushi like right now.
Mm-hmm.
But then you would like stake this X sushi in various vault made by third party. So we would have like maybe vault by Wi-Fi strategists. We would maybe have like a vault by a community member that charge, I guess, a quote unquote performance fee or something similar like this. Like that's what is, I guess, very interesting, and that's where I want like people to understand that's where we would be going, right? There's going to be like multiple choice, and it is your responsibility to assert the risk, to assert where like if this is trustworthy or sustainable. So if you want like WBTC, there's an option. Uni token could be an option. LP share could be an option too.
I
So
guess I sort of worry that there won't be a vault that'll automate the sushi rebuying, and then it'll leave people doing very, basically making the decision not to rebuy because it's so expensive to constantly be rebuying. Um,
I mean, we could totally do like a grant for a vault that is enabling rebuying of sushi. That's like not even like I would be like happy to grant such a such an option.
Just a question, Marky. With if this was to be implemented, so what would be if someone chose brought sushi, staked their sushi in the bar, and then forgot it? What would be the default? Would Dai be the default then, or would it still be sushi would be the default, but you could opt in to get Dai?
So the default would be DAI. Like the base layer would always be DAI, right? So all of the fees would be taken, and instead of like market buying sushi, it would be swap for DAI. And then from there, like you can use the DAI for anything you want. Like if you are small farmers Yes, it makes less quote unquote sense for you if you want to, if you are more bullish for sushi. But then that's why Vault are gonna come into play, right? And then you can stake your X sushi in there, and it will market by sushi with the proceed from the dye, and this will be an operation for multiple farmers, multiple like X sushi bull, etc.
So just to flip that is, could you leave the protocol as is? Like I don't have any technical background, so I'm still trying to get my head around all the technical aspects of it. But just to flip that, could you make a vault where you could stake your X sushi, and then it would automatically sell and to die, um, and then that way you wouldn't have to affect the protocol layer. Is that a possibility?
So you are saying like we keep this sushi bar as is, but instead of like we market by sushi and then we sell it for dye. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he
So
was at
yeah,
like the
'cause
vault. Sorry,
sorry,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
He was saying that like the vault would every time the harvest function is called, any of the yield from that would be market sold for dye, and then deposited to the
So
vault.
okay, I understand. The thing is, right now we do have like some problem with the EOA. So for example, like for harvesting the sushi bar, it needs to be a quote unquote human wallet that does it. It cannot be automated, right? So we are proposing to automate it with like allowing basically bots to use it, right?
So
Okay, I see, I see.
yeah.
So that is sort of how we're gonna get the efficiency up on the harvest. It seems like somebody's mic.
Yeah, I just muted him. So anyways, sorry, I just lost the thoughts.
Yeah, no
Oh
worries.
yeah, no, that's right. 'Cause I just the only thing I have, I was speaking of Magic Turtle before, and the one view I have is making changes at a protocol layer could how do you say, could affect. I just keep defaulting back to Michael Sayer's comments around Bitcoin, and the fact that the reason that he trusted the protocol or trusted his making the investment in Bitcoin is because he's seen the last few years people trying to change, well, specifically their hard fork in 2017, trying to change the contract and the protocol, and the holders fought like hell to keep it as is. And then after him seeing that, that gave him the confidence to make the investment in in Bitcoin like he did. And he sort of got the faith that it won't be changed in the future, which won't affect his investment. So just that's one view I have with the sushi bar and sushi is, if we make changes and change the rewards, then future investors could look back and see that the protocol was changed, which then could sort of scare them away from a long term investment.
Yeah, I
I
totally
wanted
understand.
to back up on something. We were talking about bots, and I was wondering if there's any way to integrate Keeper in the future into like humanizing that task. It was just a thought that I had that I wanted to throw into the
Yeah, so
conversation.
we are actually like doing the sushi bar V2 upgrade to enable Keeper network to be used. So that's like one of the main motivation, because while we were trying to curb the arbitration flaw or loophole that was discovered by the Nansen report, we work closely with Andre Crunchy, sorry, and he was like, we weren't able to basically like use the Keeper network even with his help because of like this requirement in the Sushi Bar V1. So this basically like rendered impossible or effort to integrate. So with the V2, we would be able to have like these sort of action possible, and then we can enable, I guess. So you've seen what happened in the Curve ecosystem and Wi-Fi, right? There's been like strategies that have been put in place to, I guess, maximize the yield, or like, I guess, the yield of like people like investing in this protocol, and automating like the very complex task of the voting power, etc., etc. um I think, if we can get like strategists like this on board with SushiSwap, I think this will open a lot of use case, and possibly like, making sure that everyone is happy, basically. Like, that's kind of the overall goal with Sushi Bar V2, or the sim proposal, is to make sure that everyone has their need answered.
Okay, gotcha. And so before we um move to the rewards vesting X Sushi V2 proposal, um are you hold on, let me pull up my notes. Just some of the notes that other people were saying in the forums, just so I could like sort of get a response from you. Um,
Sorry, can you repeat this?
so have you seen Boring Crypto's comments in the forums about the Switch?
Maybe to loop in around everyone, maybe it would be a better way to maybe explain what was his main critics.
Yeah, so essentially, the main points that I took away from his comments were that he thought it's the simplicity of the sushi bar, how you put in sushi and then you have X sushi, and when you pull out, your X sushi will be worth more sushi, is sort of a strong selling point. And then B, that a lot of smaller users of the sushi bar, if it is converted to paying out in Dai, then it'll be very inefficient for them to enter without having to, I guess, use a vault or something to hopefully collateralize all their small positions. Um, which, I mean, that is totally feasible, the vault solution. Um, but those are the two sort of criticisms, and the the simplicity aspect, the how you just put sushi in and then later on it's worth more. Your X sushi is worth more sushi.
So
That
just
is a
to
big selling point for me.
yeah, so just to kind of get back to this, for, I guess, the user, right, that is bringing sushi to the sushi bar, it wouldn't really change, right? The process would be just you deposit sushi in a vault, and all of the operations happen in the background for you. And then you just go to, like, whether it is, the maybe it's going to be on sushi bar interface from Boring, maybe it's going to be on something native on SushiSwap 5, maybe it's going to be on Wi-Fi. It doesn't really matter. Like, it's always going to be the same workflow for the people. They're going to be depositing the sushi, and then on the other end they're going to be receiving more sushi, or more Dai, or more WBTC, more EAT, whatever it is. So that's the way it's going to be working, basically. So on the gas side of things, if you it's going to be automated for you. You won't even like need to harvest it, unless you want to be doing it the old school way, I would say. And from
So,
there, at this point, like, you just need to, like, the gas efficiency in itself is not, I think, a deal breaker, because anyway, like, who is harvesting right now every single day? I don't think like it's a case for anyone.
Um, well, that's true. It's true that, well, I mean, there might be some people who are harvesting, every couple of days or something. Um, I I guess it's hard for me to understand why Dai is a compelling asset to switch to on the protocol level. Because it like logic, like I'm just trying to be like super um, uh, not subjective about it, but like I would think that on a protocol level, if the default is sushi, not everybody is going to be selling their sushi off in the X sushi uh, pool every single time that they get a yield. And so overall, it's a benefit to have the default payout be sushi. Whereas if the default payout is Dai, um, the buy pressure is not there for one, and then in order to get the buy pressure there, it's like a manual action. So it's almost like the inverse of the benefit you get from having the the default be sushi. Um, like and I totally get how you say that Dai is like a good, like it aligns with the ethos of SushiSwap. I totally love Dai and Maker and what they've done as well. I just I don't know. I feel like there is strong benefits from having the payouts be sushi. Because they're like if nobody sold their sushi, it wouldn't compound. But since some people do sell their sushi yield from the sushi bar, and if you don't sell, then your yield is actually compounding against theirs. Um, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do agree, but this is not sustainable. This is like a pyramid. Like like this. At some point, someone is gonna withdraw from the sushi bar. It's gonna be like a big order, and then it's gonna be dumping the price, and everyone is gonna be losing. So this is not like building a strong foundation, in my opinion. Like what we're incentivizing here is just like pumponomics, punzinomics, and like everything that I don't think we should be actually be incentivizing. This was okay at the beginning, I guess, for like bootstrapping the thing, and I don't think this project started as something that was gonna be like Nomi didn't think it was gonna be this big. That's like that's 100% sure. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
can have him on record, and it's gonna be that was just the most simple solution for like the sushi bar. And I think that at this level, I don't think we should be like I guess thinking too much about whether or not this is going to be influencing the sushi price up or not. I think everyone is pretty thrilled about the fact that they will be able to earn passive income, like a very like sustainable income with the sushi bar. It's going to be basically what is going to be happening is all of the revenues, no matter where they come from, if it's bento, um if it's the limit orders, if it is Gosoku or like the new like miso. What is interesting is most of them are not going to be, I guess paid in sushi, right? Like right now, we do have like buying pressure because we're selling Eat, we're selling Wi-Fi, SNX, etc., etc. We're just like swapping it to Dai. People can opt in for like a sushi vault if they want to like keep buying more. Like people are just gonna have a new choice, and I think this is like wonderful in my opinion because everyone is gonna profit right at the end of the day. And if we don't do it now, if we wait more, if we wait, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, whatever months it is, it's
Mm-hmm.
just gonna like it is. How can I say it? It just doesn't like aligns, I guess, good incentives, right? It's not
You think
about
the
like
Ponzi-nomics will take over?
yeah, I think like basically like that like we're just gonna do another like roller coaster. Like you saw what happened at the beginning when the supply was very low or constrained. We're just gonna go back to basically like a $10 pump, and then it's gonna crash again, and then like it's gonna be even more um, backlash, etc. If I think we showcase that we are here for the long term, we're not here to do a quick flash cash money grab, then I think people are gonna be more on our side or like with us.
Yeah, I would sort of. I think I hold a different view that sort of look at the sushi token as equity in the protocol. And I think if we can develop a good track record, then that will persuade institutional investors to come, or bigger investors to come in, which will then buy their sushi and just stake it in the bar, and to receive that recurring revenue, which is sushi. But I'm trying to think of the term of it. But I think I think if we can, if we keep it stable, that will attract long-term investors, which will be happy to buy the sushi, stake it in the bar, and forget about it for 12, 24 months, however long it is. And then if that's the case, the more institutional investors that buy sushi, stake them in the bar, the more lock sushi in the bar, and the stable the price. That's sort of the way I look at it.
Yeah, you bring up locking, but before we move on to the next topic, I just want to make sure, does anybody else in the call have any comments or anything they wanted to bring up?
I just wanted to say that I, as the proposer of the implementation, just
Oh, yes, yes.
arrived.
Awesome. Well, that's perfect. I didn't even know you were in the Discord, so you're on top of it. Thank you.
Maybe Keno, do you want to present your proposal? I just
Yeah.
finished, pitching. I guess simp number one would be very interesting to have. I guess your take on the more specific, technical side of locking, vesting, etc. The way I was before you came in the Discord, Carl. I guess I was explaining that the technicality of like the locking or vesting doesn't need to be known right now. We can like do another vote after the proposal is passed to basically like make sure that we have like the most efficient technical solution in place. And we can keep it gray for the first proposal and then go in a more technical and deep uh integration. So whatever. If you want to pitch your
I mean, we proposed a very specific implementation. So what we believe to be important is that it's relatively gas efficient to go in and out of a lock. So what we propose here is to use one storage slot per user and map that to an address. In that you only ever have one lock time, and if you add to a lock, you get a new averaged out lock time. And basically, whenever you lock, you get an amount of X sushi equivalent to a curve that could be linear, or it could also look slightly different. Though then also the functions to calculate lock durations become a lot more complex. So we have to see how efficient it would be if we do it non-linearly.
That's interesting. So it actually gets more expensive if you go non-linearly.
Basically, the problem is that the lock duration is always like the difficulty of calculating lock duration is always like one exponent more difficult than the formula to calculate the rewards. So if like the relation from sushi to X sushi is linear, then the relation from sushi to lock duration is quadratic. If the relation from sushi to X sushi is quadratic, the relation from sushi to lock duration should be cubic. And solving a cubic equation is much more difficult than solving a quadratic equation. And the properties of our specification would be that you'd have like a minimum lock time and a maximum lock time, and the user could choose completely freely between those minimum and maximum lock durations for how long they want to lock. And then you'd have an accumulator. So the user could also only get rewards for the time they were in the contract, and couldn't, if they end it now, get rewards which weren't claimed yet. And then we think would also is also cool about the proposed implementation is that locks can not only be created by EOAs but also by other contracts. So, for example, farms could pay out rewards in both Sushi and Sushi, or the team could also use it for vesting purposes.
Okay, interesting. And the I thought you had. Oh right, you just had before with the linear, preferential long, or preferential short lock options. Do you have a? I saw. I mean, I hate to be a boring crypto fanboy, but boring crypto was talking about how if say you locked for 100 sushi for a year, and then after 2 months you locked like a million sushi for one day. After the two, like you had already earned the yield for the 2 months, and then after you stake for the one day with a million, it averages out so that you can unstake the entire amount after like another day and a half or something. Is that realistic with how it would function, or is that maybe a misinterpretation?
We had an answer to borrowing crypto, and the problem was a missed assumption that the calculation of lock duration would be linear. But because we calculate the new duration not as an arithmetic mean between the wanted duration of the user for what he wants to stake the new lock-in and the old lock, but instead we use a quadratic function to calculate the time duration, and then it actually you can't get more like you'll get exactly the same amount of rewards if the Sushi protocol roughly earns the same per day every day. But if the Sushi protocol would have vastly different gains seasonally, you might be able to earn more just because on some days there were more rewards.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
But there wouldn't be an easy time to exit, and also because you'll have a minimum exit, like a minimum lock time. We would propose something like a minimum lock time of 1 month. It also becomes a lot more difficult. Like you'd have to loan a much larger amount of sushi for 1 month only to reduce the lock time, and you'd only make a profit if the earnings in the past of the Sushi protocol would be vastly higher than the earnings in the future of the Sushi protocol. Like if Sushi is going to fail tomorrow, it would be a good strategy.
For that short moment until you realize your sushi's worthless.
Yes.
I just want to say here with Keno that I completely agree with like a 30 days, cooldown period. I would say. I think that is like very important to make sure that the sushi bar cannot be gamed in any way by any large borrower, which is actually right now going on by one of our supporter, ISAM.
Can I add something else? Like you don't need a cooldown period. You just need to calculate the lock duration correctly. So if you add a lock, that you don't get a gain from it. And that's what we do by not using like an arithmetic mean to calculate the lock duration, but using a quadratic function.
Okay, I'm just gonna say it. When you say you're not using an arithmetic mean to calculate the lock duration, you're weighting it quadratically based on the amount of sushi per each lock. Okay, that's what. Sorry, sometimes I'm slow.
Basically we weight it on the amount of X sushi you got from locking, and then weigh it so you'd get the same amount for the like we just look at how long the old lock has been in existence, um, and and then we calculate how long the sum of your old lock plus your new lock has to be, so it gives the same amount as if you would lock the same amount now for a number of days.
And if I'm not mistaken here, curve actually like the weighting power goes up, like in function of how much people like luck, etc. Like there's a factor here that kind of augment, I think, or reduce. I don't remember exactly, but basically the more people luck earlier, like the voting power required or something like this augment, right? To make sure that
It
people
like
are like,
boosts.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, I don't want to add complexity here to the process or anything, but I'm just saying that is also something we could consider at some point.
What I mean, there's already like an inherent like change in voting power for how much you lock, even with a linear function. That you'll get a lot more voting power if you lock for a longer duration.
You mean, I mean after the duration, right?
No, not after the duration, just because I mean you get more sushi if you lock for a longer time, so you have a longer wait.
So what
Oh,
I mean, like
okay.
I'll just put it
Sorry.
like very, I guess simple. I lock 100 sushi now for 1 year, right?
Yeah,
But I guess in 1 month, someone else come, like totally different, another address. He
yeah,
locks 100 sushi too for the same amount of time.
yeah.
This person, we could make it so they receive a little bit less. I don't know if
Like less of sushi. Um,
exactly.
that is not part of
I
the
know
proposed.
of
Yeah,
this
yeah,
proposal, but
yeah.
this is how like kind of the curve boosting power weighting whatever like complex Ponzinomics they've done works for the Gauge, and they have like weighting power. It's like way more complicated because instead of having just one pool like us, they basically have like multiple ones, right? And they can
Yeah.
like tweak all of these factors, and it's rotating all the time, and the governance um, do all sort of tricks. I don't think we want to complex this at this level because it's very complicated. But I
I mean,
think yeah, go ahead.
I mean, you could do something like that. So, like earlier users are more incentivized, though. I mean, they also got the rewards from that time, so it would be kind of like a double bonus if you'd give them more sushi, but also the rewards they got from that earlier period. And I mean, they also probably bought sushi at a lower price. So it's kind of like a very higher leverage if you give them also higher bonuses on sushi, but obviously that could be open for discussion. I think just for the next implementation, it's already like a large step up over what
Yeah, indeed. I
sushi
mean,
is at the time being.
it's just discussion, right? We're just talking
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
very casual.
personally, like I think as long as we keep it like gas efficient, I think first of all, like this is kind of the technical side of things of the proposal. This is even like we shouldn't even talk about it if it's not even, I guess, people are not for it, right?
Yeah.
But like there could be a vote entirely just for that, so people know in the chat, right? So we can make sure that I don't think we should, I guess, fast track this decision. We don't need to take it in 1 week, or there's no fire running.
Yeah.
We just need to make sure that, I guess, in 2 3 like 2 weeks or something like this, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, we actually know where we're going with this and how we're gonna do the implementation of the smart contract. I think that's what matters. And
So,
I
oh,
really like
sorry, go
the
ahead.
solution. Sorry, I really like what he's proposing, and I think they already kind of solved a similar problem. So that's why they're not like taking this out of a rabbit ad or like a magic a wizard ad.
Um, I'm curious. Do you guys have any concerns that time locking, will discourage some users from participating in the bar?
I think honestly personally I think this could be like a gray area. I mean, there could be like people with locking and people without locking, right? Like that could be like the best thing, in my opinion.
I mean, I know. I mean, it's not very insightful to use an anecdotal experience, but the time locking did sort of turn me off of curve vesting. It was sort of like, because this stuff is like all still, very very new technology, very vulnerable to some massive smart contract hack or something. Theoretically that there's no FDIC insurance, um, and you know time blocking it for like 6 months or something to try to get an adequate boost level compared to the other whales was just sort of too spooky.
Hello, can
But
anyone hear me?
yes, yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, hi. I had a suggestion. I mean, I've been following the surf model for a little while, and they've got this time locking feature. Oh, sorry, not time locking feature. It's actually a very high fee for locking and unlocking. It's like 15% to 20% or something like that. But anyway, I feel like although the project had massive liquidity pushed into it, like $7 million volume or something as well. It was, number one on Dex tools for a number of days and whatnot. I felt like the community was left in a bit of a halt um, and probably a little bit of a shock, to be honest, because of the fact that there was this fee, and by that point it was too late because everyone was already really invested, and everybody's just like sitting there now. Nobody's buying as much, nobody's selling as much, and I feel like people are like too scared to enter it now because of this fee. And I feel like, or this exit fee, you could call it. And I feel like people prefer to have a little bit more freedom, I guess, and not feel restricted to have to be locked into anything as such. That's my personal opinion, but you know, I'm not sure if I'm really excited of the idea of locking, but yeah, the time lock as well. That's something a little bit different, but yeah, just I'm not
uh,
not really excited by the idea personally.
yeah, thanks for saying something. I mean, and this is just, I'm not a Solidity coder, so you know obviously I'm not going to be the person building this, but I saw one solution where instead of a locking, it's like a set period where you don't actually earn anything on your staked sushi, and then after that period, then your earning power sort of slowly would ramp up to linearly or following a curve or something. Um,
That is along what Boring Crypto proposed, like an open accumulator. I mean, the difference is that with like if you lock, you know exactly what kind of rewards you can expect, and you can like earn the full amount of rewards um, from the get-go, because you can kind of look ahead of what your rewards will be. And if you have an open accumulator, you kind of have to look backwards, and you can only get rewards retrospectively. So I mean, the amount money comes back will be later, but you can exit more freely.
Is sorry to interrupt you, but is that required? Like, is it possible to set like a new um origin date or genesis date where like we say like okay, boosting starts from this date forward, it's not so that you get retrospect. I mean, some people would probably want the retrospective boosting, but I think personally it could be bad for optics for new user acquisition. Like it would maybe seem unfair to them, or something like that. I could.
I mean, like with an open accumulator, where you want, like, I mean, if you want the same to get like come out, you would want to implement it using retrospective rewards, because you wouldn't know your boost level until later, if you implement it in that way.
Oh, I see what you're saying. When they interact with the contract after the boost, then they have to see
No,
how
I
long
mean,
they've been in it.
exactly, like kind of like I mean, you can only know like the current your current level at the time being, but you won't know at on day one if you will have locked for a year later. While as if you like lock in for a year, you can pay, like the contract can pay that user out rewards for locking for a year. That makes sense.
Yeah, I got you.
The complexity should be the complexity is similarly quadratic if the rewards relationship is linear.
Okay, I got you. And so, I feel like I interrupted you. Were you saying there was a difference between the open accumulator and the stake? The fact is that if you stake for a certain time period, you know from day zero that you're earning, at a certain boost level, versus the open accumulator, you'd have to wait 6 months and then you're at a certain boost level. Is just the main difference.
Yeah, that's the main difference, and the main difference is that with like locking, you will get full rewards on day one, and have like the same level of income throughout the year. Well, if your boost first has to build up, you won't get the same amount from the get go, but
That is true. That's a good point. I've not thought about it in those terms.
I mean, both have advantages and disadvantages. The question, what is preferred?
Yeah, how do you guys think I mean, I guess, the snapshot voting is like the best sort of democratic solution we have right now, in terms of gauging, the true community sentiment in terms of people who have skin in the game. Um, how do you think uh, the community should handle multiple proposed solutions to the same problem? Like, should it just be like we vote on the first person to come forward with a solution, and if it passes, then that's the one we're doing? Or should,
I think we should just come up with like a consensus, right? Like we just like put like we collaborate, we come up to like there's one best solution at the end of the day. I think, right? Maybe like we can put some wine in our like some water in our wine, etc. But at the end of the day, I think that we need to reach a consensus altogether and then accept and then vote on on one proposal. So whether it's locking, whether it's vesting, whether it's like nothing at all, like at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Like we just need to make sure that we have a direction, and I think this direction is like it's always gonna be the person that's gonna make the work, right? So even though like we want like X to be done, but nobody can do it, like it's never gonna happen. You know?
yeah.
So that's very important to keep in mind. I was just maybe we could switch to another topic I wanted to perhaps talk about.
Yeah, well, maybe I could read your mind. Were you about to bring up the menu of the day change?
Menu of the week.
Or menu of the week, sorry.
Yeah. No, I was not about to talk about this actually, but
Okay,
we
well,
can.
bring up whatever you're gonna bring up then, because
Okay,
I don't want to.
so I was thinking we have those two-third rewards that are vested right now, right, for a lot
Mm-hmm.
of sushi farmers and users. And I was thinking in there, there's a lot of protocol that have been, I would say, using sushi as a way to, you know, try to put us down to zero. And I don't think these users are community member at all. And I don't think they deserve their rewards, basically. So I'm thinking about something like Dracula Sucks. I'm thinking about Arvis Finance. I'm thinking about like all sort of, farming industrial facility. I think they don't deserve the rewards, basically. And I think they are opportunistic and they should just, all the rewards should be reallocated to the honest farmers, quote unquote. And the way to do this, I was thinking of perhaps like do a collaboration with Kleros to make a list of people that were like not people but contracts that were behaving in a parasitic way. And I would like to know, like, have a community feel. What you guys and girls think?
When you say they were trying to push us to zero, do you mean like they were like actively shorting us while
Not shorting, but
like dumping and
yeah,
like trying
dumping,
to?
exactly. So for
Well,
example, right now we have like Vault, like, not Vault, but smart contract like Harvest, that is basically like taking the sushi that they put as liquidity, dumping it automatically, and then they're not even dumping it on SushiSwap, and then they go directly to buy some of their own token, which basically has zero plus value for us and the community, except like some liquidity, quote unquote. But is it the kind of liquidity we want to be attracting?
wait, why aren't they using SushiSwap? Isn't that where the most liquidity is for ETH sushi?
Yes, it is. I think that, like apparently there's no pair for Sushi Farm on SushiSwap, but they could have created one. They could collaborate with us. I mean, this is for the Arvis case. The same goes for Dracula. I haven't checked in their smart contract exactly. I just think that we should be incentivizing good behavior in the community. And Arvis Finance is actually like blacklisting a farming contract that is using their own, um, I guess, farming whatever it is. Um,
Um, I don't know. I'm interested if anybody has any thoughts on it. But I I feel like it's like a very tricky thing to get into. Because it's like, what's the difference between harvest finance and urine finance? Um, or what's the difference between someone, just an end user, earning their yield by staking an SLP token and then every single day selling their yield and converting it into farm token? Um, they're like, you know what I mean? How it sort of it can sort of set a scary precedent for other sort of DeFi apps that are trying to act in an interoperable way. I mean, maybe it is uh, overly parasitic, and if that's the case, then I'd like to see that but I it does give me pause thinking about like retracting the 2/3 reward from farming contracts that may have brought uh, TVL to SushiSwap to begin with. No, that's just my thoughts.
I think it brings up a good point of reaching out to them to collaborate if them not using your exchange is a big issue.
so I already have a I guess a channel with them right now. I'm gonna be talking with them tomorrow or so and trying to see, because I don't mind them, I guess, selling sushi. But if they're not even using Uniswap, what's the point? Like, how come they are helping us, quote unquote, right?
Yeah, they
They're
should
bringing
definitely be
some
using
volume, but they're not
SushiSwap.
like, yeah, they're bringing some TVL, good, but they're not even using the product. Like, what's the point? Like, I don't see like I don't see why we should be rewarding this, and then they're not even contributing to the governance or the project. Like they're doing it against project that are attacking them. So this is for Harvest, but I mean, there is like worse than them. I think Dracula is one of them.
I'm
Uh,
not familiar with Dracula. What is their deal? Is it sort of just like Harvest, but a different project?
yeah, it's like similar. It's just like they are deflationary or something like this. I mean, uh, like really haven't looked in all of the, I guess, co-adjacent I guess farms. But the goal was to basically have Kleros come up with like a list, a curated list, and then we could discuss and say, oh, is this something we want to have in our community or incentivize?
Yeah, I mean, I think as a bare minimum, at least from my personal feelings, any smart contract that's basically farming on SushiSwap and selling sushi should be using SushiSwap to sell it. And if they're not, then that's just it's just a dick move, man.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't want to take too much time on this, and it was just like to have some feeling if I wanted to make a proposal or not. But glad to know. I also would like to, I guess, probe everyone here about some sort of insurance mining sort of thing with, I guess, like some protocols like NXM or Cover or else, for especially because we're gonna have like some new product coming up. I think that Sushi Swap in itself is very quote unquote battle tested with the current contract because we are using Uniswap v2. I don't think there's any fear going on here. We might need to insure the new Sushi Bar v2 in case there's any quote unquote attacks. Bento might be vulnerable. Bento is going to be using not multiple, but different oracles for the whole characterization, etc. We're gonna be relying.
Mm-hmm.
People are gonna be choosing their own oracle for each quote unquote pair or like asset.
Yeah.
So there would be like one leveraging Chainlink, another one leveraging Compound Open Oracle, Twop Oracle from Sushi slash Uniswap. So that could quote unquote alleviate the risk of flash loans, etc. But I was thinking that we could probably put on top of it some you know actual insurance. And I was I think talking with the guys from Cover. I was asking them if today, like the recent flash loan on OUSD would have been covered, and they said that yes, economical acts are actually covered, which is I think a positive for our own the community as a whole, and we could somehow
Yeah.
Wait, WNXM said that?
no cover
Oh,
protocol.
cover. So would theoretically the Nansen report attack would that have been covered by cover?
Uh,
I
I
mean,
think I think NXM Nexus Mutual doesn't cover economical attacks because they're considered as arbitrage, so which is fair game. But in the case of cover, apparently it is. But I'm gonna
that's pretty surprising if that is true.
yeah. I mean
That's interesting.
I'm gonna meet up with their team and see like to have more information if I do have a proposal coming for this, but like
Mm-hmm.
just a small, I guess, what do you guys think and girls about insurance mining, and if it's something we want to incentivize for uh, for the various new product maybe that we're going to be putting up.
I'll let other people make comments before I speak up because I talk too much. Okay, fine. I am super in terms of like for the new products, I think getting some sort of insurance coverage on them would be a very good move. Just better safe than sorry, I guess. And I believe from the way the sushi treasury is, we have enough of a runway to afford an insurance system. Um, but I don't know any specifics between like what would be better between WNXM and cover and safe is the same as cover, right?
I have no idea. I mean, I don't know all of them, but there's like 5 or 6 of them right now.
Yeah.
I guess we could, like, maybe someone better versed in all these insurance protocol could make a proposal and we can I guess discuss about it. But whatever, that's what's just an idea, right? And I'm meeting with the cover team tomorrow, and they wanted to actually launch with SushiSwap.
Oh, that's awesome. That sounds
So
super cool.
so I was thinking we could do a small collab and try to help them. So anyways, I think for me that's gonna do it. I think it's
Yeah.
almost been like 1 hour and 10.
Yeah. Yeah. Just
Um,
about.
I just maybe want to. I'll stay maybe like 10 more minutes, but I'm gonna cut my mic and just listen. I think what Keno is proposing is super interesting. If I guess the larger community thinks we shouldn't be doing a lock, I'm wondering, would it be possible to adapt it to a vesting Keno, or is this
We think we can do it to like an open um, open system where you can like only claim retrospectively. Or to an open accumulator system.
is this preferred in your opinion? For you, do you?
I mean, I personally prefer lock because I don't I mean I want a steady income, but that would be what
But
I would look for. But I can understand if others look for something different. But I feel like that's a political
what
question,
is
not a dev
the
question.
what is the like distinguishing line for steady income? Because like maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like anybody who's making enough um uh to use the revenue from their ex sushi on a reasonably frequent basis, it doesn't the boost wouldn't make a crazy difference. It'd still be usable for that moment. And maybe I do get that if you're locking for a year, that's like 6 months where you're getting a considerable more amount of income.
We could we give the option of them to lock or unlock? I mean, sorry, to lock or not lock, like them 2 options.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Because I think that would be super cool. Like if they had the option to lock a certain time frame, give them more rewards based on that. But if they didn't decide to lock, they would get maybe some standard kind of accumulation or reward.
I mean, like you could do like a minimum. Like I think it would be very difficult in practice to do that efficiently. Like I think it's better to decide either or, either vesting or locking.
Okay. Cool.
Well, I mean, I really don't know, and I could be totally wrong, but I feel like the open accumulator is nicer in terms of usability, but I mean that's just me. That other people definitely have different opinions about it. It's a tough decision, I think.
What did you think about what Wengarian said, Magic Turtle?
Oh, I actually wrote down his comment. So he said he said that X Sushi returns in Dai versus Sushi, and he said this is a this is a right step forward. Over time, the industry will recognize cash flow generating protocols and place a premium on protocols that do not rely on emissions to generate cash flows. Stability of returns versus Dai will be imperative in attracting larger volumes of capital. An option to create follow-on vaults for market buying assets of the community's choice will also be welcomed. And I propose that the standardized vault options for be DAI, WBTC, and ETH. I mean that's a totally reasonable take on the change. I I don't like, as long as there is a vault where you can put in your X sushi and it'll it'll convert the yield, the harvest yield, to X sushi automatically, basically through the same mechanism that all Y vaults function on. There won't be any functional change. It'll look the same.
I agree.
Uh,
I agree.
it'll do all the same things.
And
Yeah.
one thing to consider here is when he said I propose that the standardized vault, he assumes that it's going to be built by SushiSwap. I think it's very important to understand it's going to be by a third party, and I do think that we should indeed incentivize, I guess, someone to do like something that doesn't break what is currently available, to make sure that people that basically wants to have more sushi can do it. I think that is de facto, like, important that everyone knows. If they want to keep the V1 version, it's going to be available. It's very important, I think. I'm not saying that we should get rid of like people buying sushi with their yield. If you're bullish sushi, there's going to be a vault for you. I just think that as a wider spectrum, I think it's better to give the option that for people that wants to just take their Dai profit. I mean, some people are not interested in getting sushi. And these people, like, if they get Dai, then the problem is solved instantly. And like, if we do reward in Dai and the vaults they're buying with SushiSwap, like, we're creating more volume too. It's a loop, right? So instead of having one transaction, we're getting two, etc., etc.
That's true. That's very true. um, it,
Sorry, guys. Is there like a actual name for like a commercial freezer? Because just on a marketing sort of concept I had was, because we're relating this all to sushi and food pretty much. Instead of having, say, vaults, could we call it like some other cool name, like freezer, commercial freezer, where like they freeze
the fish
and
freezer.
yeah, like it's sort of, instead of locking, that we're actually freezing the food or the token, the sushi token, and from there, it's essentially the time lock or whatever. I thought it'd be pretty cool to have some kind of freeze name or something. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cute marketing idea. I like that.
Yeah, I do like the name. I think it's very good.
I don't know if I'm thinking too far out there or not, but yeah, I'd like to sort of continue to be creative with this whole concept, because I really like the creative side of what SushiSwap has done up until this point as well. Just wanted to see that kind of cool kind of thing move forward in that direction as well as an ongoing.
Yeah, for sure. But I think I'm gonna start wrapping it up for today. I just want to thank everybody who came out and sort of participated in the Sushi Forum call this week. It was one of the best in terms of participation. Zero X Mackie, thank you very much for coming out and talking about your proposal, and also Kino, you just being an all-star and just showing up to talk about your proposal. That's perfect, man. Thank you very much.
I think the next step here, by the way, for this proposal, if everyone here agrees, I think we're gonna be putting it on Snapshot. In its current iteration, we're just gonna let, I guess, a gray area around the boosting, vesting, locking part, and see what the community, like the broader community, thinks about it. I know there was a lot of excitement on the Asian side of it, because this is basically quote unquote like um, profit sharing, and people are a big fan of this part because it brings stability there. So and that was, the proposal was a little bit inspired by AMA I did with them, with the broader like Chinese community. Sorry, just gonna mute. So and then we can probably have another, like, I guess, poll on the Sushi proposal from Keno, perhaps, where we can have a better outlook. Maybe I can just post a poll in your topic, Keno, if you want,
Sure.
just to
Sounds
have
good.
like a small, like signaling of whether like people prefer locking, investing, or other, I guess.
Yeah, that'd be
Personally,
good.
I don't have like a very hard sentiment. I think locking was cool. I think vesting could be another way. At the end of the day, I think we should just be rewarding people that wants to stay aligned for the long term with us, and like I think that's the goal of like all of these solutions, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, also to remove the possibility of the Nansen analysis vulnerability or arbitrage opportunity.
Totally.
But yeah, awesome. Thank you everybody for coming out and participating. That is gonna wrap it up for tonight. Stay safe, guys. All right, so that